everybody, and Happy New Year. My name is Austin Wires with Central Vietnam Realty. For those of you who don't know, Central Vietnam Realty is a real estate services and brokerage firm based in Da Nang, Vietnam. We are here today in January 2024, coming off of a very, very slow year in Vietnamese real estate in 2023. A few changes on the real estate law in end of 2023 and early 2024, as well as a lot of investor optimism has kind of pushed forward the real estate market going into 2024 in Vietnam in general, and also in Da Nang. The main purpose of this video is to cover a few points, mainly the procedural and legal aspects of foreigners purchasing property in Vietnam. A lot of these are the very first questions we get when we engage with international investors. The basics, the need to knows about purchasing property in Vietnam. The very first point is always the question, Austin, is it legal for foreigners to purchase property in Vietnam? And a very simple answer is yes, with restrictions. In 2015, Vietnam changed the real estate law to purchase property in Vietnam in approved projects. There are some restrictions on duration, the foreign quota, how much foreigners really own. But in general, as long as you have a valid passport, a valid visa, can prove your marital status, you are eligible to purchase as many properties in Vietnam as you would like, as long as they are within these approved projects. One of the restrictions essentially is that foreigners cannot own freehold property. That means there is a duration to the ownership, a term on the ownership, generally set at 50 years. There's also a quota within each project of how much a foreigner can own. For example, in a condo project, they can own 30% of their condo project, or in a villa project, they can own 10% of the condo project. That is kind of the very basic legal real estate law about foreigners purchasing property in Vietnam. Overall, there's been a few types of projects that have been approved for foreign purchase since this change in real estate law. First is the standard residential condo tower selling units to both international and domestic investors. Second are more commercial developments, such as in Da Nang, we have a lot of oceanfront hotel towers, as well as beachfront resorts, which have been approved for international purchase, as well as villa compounds along the beach or on the golf course, which is generally near the beach in Da Nang. So these three kind of cover the type of properties that have been approved for purchase for foreigners in Da Nang. When it comes to purchasing as a foreigner, there are really two possible procedures. The first being purchasing on the primary market, that means purchasing directly from the developer of the project, or second, purchasing on the secondary market, which means purchasing a resale or purchasing from a previous owner of the project. First, we'll talk about the primary market. The primary market generally includes a few steps. Generally, you would be organizing viewings of the development itself, choosing a unit that you may be interested in, negotiating some of the price or payment plan or terms of the contract with the developer. You then be signing a deposit contract paying around 100 or 200 million, depending on the project, in deposit to reserve your unit. And then as you continue your payment plan and you complete 30% of the payment, you would be then signing a sales and purchase agreement or a long-term lease agreement directly with the developer. All of the funds in this situation would be sent directly to the developer's account, and you would be signing your contract, again, directly with the developer. Fast forward through time and you completed your payment plan, you paid 100% of the unit now, you would then be meeting again with the developer at the unit for your handover. The developer would be giving you the keys to the unit, checking any defects in the apartment or in the condo to make sure that there's no damages or things that were built or designed incorrectly. If there are, the developer repairs those at that time. Once you've agreed that the apartment is ready and all good, you sign off on the minutes of handover, and then you have the ability to do what you want with the apartment. Some cases you manage it yourself, you live there, you furnish it. Other cases you continue to sign your management program with maybe with CDR, maybe with a third party, or with an international hotel brand who will be managing the entire project. In a very, very quick overview, that is the procedure of purchasing a unit on the primary market as a foreign investor.
Overall, purchasing in the primary market is significantly easier and more straightforward than purchasing on the secondary market. There are a few very important differences between purchasing on the primary market and on the secondary market. To kind of walk through the secondary market procedures, it is very similar. You are choosing a unit But in the secondary market, you must choose a unit that is previously owned by a foreigner. Foreigners are not able to purchase property from Vietnamese, mainly due to the difference in ownership, where Vietnamese generally have freehold property. So you choose your unit, you choose the project you're interested in, you negotiate with the private seller, you would sign a deposit contract, and here's one of the main differences: that you'll be sending the money directly to the seller's account rather than to an account like the developers on the primary market. There are really two ways to transfer these sales and purchase agreements or long-term lease agreements on the secondary market. You would be able to transfer a lot of them at the notary office, which means assembling all the paperwork and bringing the seller and the buyer together at the local notary office to make the transfer. The seller then would pay the tax accordingly, and after that transfer, you are given a notary contract proving your ownership. There are also projects that transfer internally. So the developer will assist in the transfer of the sales and purchase agreement or the long-term lease agreement between the private buyer and seller. Throughout the secondary market, you are sending the funds directly to the seller's account, their private account. That is one of the main differences, and the role of the notary office to transfer these units, whether it be a sales and purchase agreement or a long-term lease agreement on the secondary market. And now it's time to talk about everybody's favorite, taxes. The tax environment in Vietnam is actually quite friendly for real estate in general. Again, we kind of do this primary market and secondary market distinction. On the primary market, there is a 10% VAT tax applicable with all purchases and a 2% maintenance fee applicable with all purchases. This maintenance fee is a 2% fee paid by all the owners within a building. The money goes into a fund which is managed by the building management or the board of owners and is used for long-term structural repairs or improvements of the building. Those are the only fees or taxes included along with the purchase. During your ownership, thankfully, Vietnam has no property tax at the moment. So you have no ongoing tax to pay to the local government or to the national government. The only ongoing fee you'd have as an owner in Vietnam would be your monthly management fee, which is a fee based on the area of your apartment. Let's say $1 or $1.50 per square meter per month of your apartment area. And this fee goes to the daily operations. It's paid to the building management, covers things like security, access to the pool, gym, cleaning, trash pickup, etc. Also, while you're living in the apartment or using the apartment, you would have utility fees, water, electricity, internet, and that's based on usage. When it comes time to sell the apartment, moving to now the secondary market as a seller, there are two taxes and fees applicable, or three actually. The first is a 2% sales tax. As it's not a capital gains tax, it is a sales tax based on the final price of the property, whether you sell it at a gain or a loss. There's also a 0.5% registration tax that goes to registering the new buyer with the government as the owner of the apartment. There are some small fees on the secondary market to transfer at the notary office, generally a few $100s for notary and translators if required. And last would be your brokerage fee. Generally in Vietnam, people charge between 2 and 3% to the seller pays a 2 or 3% brokerage fee for agencies to sell their property. During your ownership, from purchase, ownership, during the ownership and onto the sale, those are what kind of taxes and fees you can expect. Another really common question in Vietnam is about bank accounts. Generally, we recommend foreign investors to open a local account, whether it be with a domestic bank or an international bank, whenever they decide to purchase a unit. There are international banks in Vietnam like HSBC, UOB, United Overseas Bank, OCB. So there are options that you can maybe connect with your banking abroad, depending on who you bank with. Otherwise, we recommend opening a local bank account with one of the state-owned banks or a private bank. What this really helps is when you go to purchase the apartment, especially if you're purchasing on the secondary market, you can send the money abroad from your account abroad to your domestic account and then transfer it to the seller. And then when you sell the unit, you can receive the money to your local account and you have a clear paper trail to send your funds back abroad. Banks like to see this, and it helps the remittance at a later stage. Also, holding a local bank account during your purchase helps you pay for some of those taxes I mentioned before, or fees like the monthly management fee or electricity, water, utility. All of these things I think will make your life much easier And generally, if you are, owning an apartment, you're expecting to receive some rental income. There are some opportunities where you could receive the money internationally, but I would say a lot of times the tenant or the management company prefers to pay you locally because it requires no cross-border transfer fee. CVR is happy to help with opening bank accounts. We have a few preferred banks that we like to work with who are very customer friendly, have mobile online internet banking, and allow you easy access to your money no matter where you are in the world. I know that only covers the tip of the iceberg when it comes to purchasing a property, but I hope it gives a good basic framework of the legal elements and the procedural elements of purchasing a property in Vietnam. For those extra questions and the extra information required, please don't hesitate to let us know. Whenever you begin to look at a property or you have some questions about the procedural legal elements in Vietnam, we are always happy to help. Please let us know if there's other type of videos you'd like to see on our page. We're happy to follow some suggestions. And thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe.